All right, top reads for the month of September, starting out in fiction. My top read this month goes to Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. This book, the characters were super rich. I fell in love with them right away. The prose felt like a warm hug, so I was hooked on this book in chapter 1. And then the plot proceeds to, at least as I perceived it, devolve into the most convoluted soap opera story I had ever read. So I got 3/4 of the way through this book and was like, what in the world am I reading? This book was so difficult. It was really challenging. I almost DNF'd it, actually, which I never DNF a book. And then, 3/4 of the way through this book, Sally Rooney drops us with just a bombshell of a sentence that makes you rethink the entire book. And I cannot stop thinking about this book now. It is thought-provoking. It makes you rethink. I'm not even going to say what it makes you rethink. I'm going to leave that up to you. Go read this book. Seriously, I cannot stop thinking about this book. My honorable mention in fiction this month goes to Lionhearts by Dan Jones. This is the book 3 in the Essex Dogs trilogy, which is one of my favorite historical fiction series of all times, and this book did not disappoint. What I especially loved about this book was how Dan Jones took mundane historical facts like labor law following the Black Death and turned that into integral plot points. So you see how these things that we perceive as mundane history facts, how they affected the lived realities of people who lived through this time period. Phenomenal. I love it when an author can pull that off. Dan Jones is a spectacular author. I cannot wait to see what he does next. So yeah, everyone go read this book. This is top tier historical fiction writing. Moving on to nonfiction, my top read this month goes to Native Nations by Kathleen Duvall. I love American history books that center the perspective of indigenous peoples. And this volume is the best single volume American history book that centers indigenous voices that I have ever read. So if you have any interest in American history or indigenous history, this is a must read. Go read it. Native Nations by Kathleen Duvall. And finally, my honorable mention in nonfiction this month goes to The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brisati. I love this book. I mean, I love dinosaurs, but I always saw them as like individual species. And Steve Brisati did a great job in this book of just like showing us the whole ecosystem, how dinosaurs interacted with each other and how they and their world evolved over time. And he also did a great job of explaining how we know what we know about dinosaurs. It was spectacular. Go read this book if you have any interest in dinosaurs. So that's my top reads for September. Let me know what you read, if you had any books that you particularly loved, and if there's any books you'd like me to read and review, leave me a comment.